This is the Nuclear Option Podcast with Chris and Aziza Butler, the podcast for those who dare to believe in the power of the nuclear family.
In a time when it's harder than ever to raise a family, we want to encourage you to be proud of your family. Invest in your family because our families are the most promising solutions for the problems in our world. Greetings. This is the Nuclear Option Podcast where we discuss the politics and the practice and the promise of family.
From our home to yours, we are inviting you into a conversation about the family, not just as a private institution, but as a public good.
That's right. Welcome, you guys. Thanks for joining us here.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us again, my love. It's so great to see you here.
You see me every day.
I do. It's true.
But it is still great to see you.
It is.
Every time I see you, it just brightens my day.
I concur too.
And when we get to hang out with you all, it brightens our day together.
It does.
Before we jump in, we should say that we would love for you, if you are listening to this or if you are watching this on YouTube, to like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us on a podcast platform, leave us a great review, how much you like this show, and then share an episode with a friend or family member who you think might be encouraged by the stuff that we talk about on the Nuclear Option Podcast.
Yes. This is such a great year for you to just really go in on just being encouraged by all that you do for your family day in and day out. This is the year 2026. Everything that you do just will be so enhanced by your family being, just solid.
And the world will be enhanced.
That's true, right?
By everything that you do as your family. We are, if you're raising a family, this is not to discriminate. If you're not raising a family, you're still a wonderful person.
Absolutely.
Making amazing contributions to society, I'm most sure.
There is probably already know that.
There's a unique thing that families provide to society, has been that way for a long time. And I think the reason we do the podcast is because maybe sometimes people forget about that.
That's true. Or just, you have those moments like, oh my gosh, why?
Right.
I do so much to make this work. Why? Is it making any difference? And we just want to tell you, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
We're like your cheerleaders behind you. So share this episode with somebody because the things we're going to talk about today, I think are going to be really, really helpful. So share this with somebody you know, one of your other family, friends, or something like that. But yeah.
Or in our social media age, you can share this with people you don't know.
That's true. That's probably
share
realistic.
Share it. Share it to people you do know. Send them a text or whatever.
I heard that on social media, you can see people's posts who you don't even know.
All the time. I mean, that's so
crazy.
It's not how it used to be.
Yeah.
When it first came out, which I remember when it first came out.
Yeah.
But I do remember when it first came out. And it was all about you look at
your network, your people.
Or people right on your wall and you see what's on your wall. But now you see everybody's wall.
You don't even know.
You don't have a wall. Anybody can write on your wall. The computer, the algorithm writes on your wall, like the finger of God.
Oh, Jesus.
Who was the king on the wall?
Not Hezekiah. What's his name? I forgot. Blah, blah. I can't remember. But that's great. You all tell us because after this episode, we're
Bible fail.
But yeah, so because they'll just show content for people you don't know. So I guess if you just post about it, maybe random people see it too who need to see it. So let's make the algorithm work for us.
Yes.
Okay.
Or just text an episode to your cousin.
That's true. Okay. All right, let's jump into this, guys.
Who forgets about families the most? Policymakers. And so we talk about the politics of family. And today we want to talk about an issue that is really impacting families in a huge way. Families everywhere are being impacted by this issue of caregiving and the cost associated with caregiving. There is an opportunity. So this is something that has been talked about for probably about 5 years. In a fairly consistent way, but there hasn't been big action at the federal level to really do anything about caregiving. So some of the basic idea here is first just to look at this reality that lots of families are caring for older folks. Yeah. So about 63 million Americans currently care for elderly or chronically ill adults. So this is not talking about childcare or even children who have difficulties. This is elder care and chronically ill adults. About 63 million Americans are doing this. And all of us, if you're not doing it, you know somebody Like, I'm thinking about Uncle Roy. I'm thinking about folks in our church. Probably shouldn't call everybody's name.
Right.
But
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
but that's huge.
lots of people who are doing this,
And
and
this
if you
doesn't
listen
just
to the
include this is everybody. This isn't like a person raising their family, but also caring for their
yeah,
elderly
this is anybody who's caring for
caring
an
for in
elderly
their house.
person.
Okay.
But with 63 million folks in that boat, the numbers for an actual 40 hours a week paid caregiving runs about $71,000 a year. The average nursing home bills, that
Yeah.
71,000 is actually in-house. Nursing home bill is about $110,000 a year.
Wow.
Medicare covers almost none of that. So this is if you're going that route of a nursing home or a private care provider,
Yeah.
you're mostly paying for that out of pocket. So this mostly falls on family members and family members, even if you shoulder the load where you're doing this yourself. We have a little visitor here.
We're raising a family of 2. Hi, little one. Hi, Cole.
This is cool.
Hi, Cole. Say hi, Cole.
Don't touch it though.
Say
Yeah, just say
hi.
hello. Say hi, everybody. Don't touch it though.
No,
Don't
right
touch it.
there.
You can just talk to it.
Say hi.
Here, you can raise yourself up to it and say hello.
Wow. Hello.
Say how's everybody doing?
Hey, Bobby doing? Very good. You gotta go, go. Danny, go.
Go.
Say hallelujah. No, just say Danny, go. Okay. What's your name?
Your name is not Danny Go. What is your name?
What is your name? Cole.
Yeah.
Very good. Hi, Cole. Welcome to the Nuclear Option Podcast.
Can you say Nuclear Option Podcast?
Very good. That's a great 2-year-old way to say Nuclear Option Podcast.
Okay, are you
This
gonna
is
let
Cole,
Mom
our,
read that?
our youngest one. You gonna
You
read?
gonna read it?
You're gonna read it? Yeah. Okay. What do you want to tell us? Okay, read it. Oh, you're reading it?
Yeah.
Nice. Aw, thank you.
Are you gonna go back out there recording now?
No.
Okay, Cole, but you have to go out there with your brother, okay? Okay, we'll see you in a minute, okay, Sonny? This way. Love you, Colio. What were we saying?
We were talking about how expensive it is to take care of elder adults,
Right.
which is a really important thing to think about, especially if you're in the middle of taking care of little tiny people.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And even if you're not taking care of tiny people, it's just, yeah, it's an expensive venture. I remember when my grandmother, we were looking into a nursing home at one point for her because we were thinking her care needed more, but it was something crazy like 300 and something dollars per day.
yeah,
I was like, per day? What?
average nursing home bill is
Unless she had like,
110,000.
they were like, unless she sold her home and she had less than like $3,000 in the bank or something like that. I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah, and so I think we were talking about how, like, because those big costs with like in-home care and the nursing home care, families end up taking this on, and even when families do it, you end up spending. The data suggests the average is $7,242 a year out of pocket, and that's if you're doing all this stuff. Like, so you don't have help, you're like
Yeah.
doing it, and you're still
You're
paying
still spending it.
$7,000 a year.
So it's like, what can we do for families like this? Do you have like a
Yeah.
suggestion for policy?
So I mean, I'm just given what this article is talking about. I do think it's fairly compelling, and we'll link this maybe in the show notes. But I also want to frame this just for those who are maybe like in the policy making realm in some way or another. That 79% of Republicans and 89% of Democrats agree that
Okay.
government needs to do more to help families and individuals who are caring for elderly. And so
Partisan if I ever heard it.
there's like bipartisan
already
support, but unfortunately, our government normally gets together in a bipartisan way to do really bad things. But this would be a way to get together and do
Yeah.
really good things. The main kind of push right now is just expanding Medicare to cover these kind of long-term care expenses, or maybe developing, particular kind of like insurance products that are affordable that extend to this type of care. But the big thing I think that the article is holding up, which I think is really important for me, and why I wanted to talk about it on the podcast, is that you really just don't talk about it. Like, you hear a lot about childcare, which we know childcare can be expensive as well, and we do need to do something about childcare,
Right,
just to
right.
be clear. But you don't have as much of a big conversation
Right.
about this kind of long-term elder care
Right.
and adult care, even though this is like a huge
A huge
uh,
63
thing
million
that
people.
is happening in the country.
God.
And as expensive as childcare is, it's not $110,000 a
For
year
sure. Yeah.
for one kid. I mean, like, unless you're doing like the Rolls Royce. I mean, like, you
Oh,
can spend that if you
childcare.
want to.
Right.
but this is the average,
Um,
$110,000 a year average, and I don't know anybody who can, like, swing that
yeah,
year after year.
yeah, without it, like, severely impacting their own, just financial stability,
Yeah,
definitely.
and I think it says something about our society,
Yeah,
the fact that we don't even discuss this much,
yeah, for
um,
sure.
and it's not only something that's impacting a lot of people in the society, it also is a reflection on how we care for elders, like,
Yeah,
in
the ones who were, like, doing the thing before we even got here, the whole reason we're here is because they, persevered through their difficulties and challenges and hard times
yeah,
so that they could, make
take
a
care
way
of
for
us.
us. Yeah, it's huge, and I think that if I could just get on a soapbox and say, if you
Take it
are in the any kind of, like, elected, position, it would be so it would be so helpful and impactful for you to send a huge statement to, like, dually, actually. It'll be for this is a statement to people who are being taken care of and people who are taking care of people. That they're not unseen, that the sacrifices are seen, and that and we care, and that we want to support them. And there's so much that we can do, and there's so many kind of communities of society that can feel marginalized, but this definitely is huge. And then when you think about, like, people who are being taken care of, like the
Mhm.
elders, and a lot of times they may feel like they already don't like to feel like they're a burden because it's like,
Right.
look, I've been independent all my life, have brought you into this world, right? So they most of the time they like to feel independent and they don't want to feel like a burden. So if it's all the more like, and they, literally are being financially, like, not supported to be able to do that, yeah, I think that would send a huge full statement of encouragement for our societies.
So
Do it.
this is just something that we wanted to lift up, and I would encourage you to kinda keep it, keep it in your back pocket this year. A lot of folks are gonna be coming around asking you for your vote, and
Yeah.
I would just say when that happens, just ask them, "Hey, there are conversations in Congress about what we're gonna do about elder care and supporting families who are taking care of elders in our society. What's your plan? What's your view? How we're gonna take care of this because it's important to me."
Yeah, and literally just you even bringing it up will, because they already know, right? Like, it's not like they're like, "Huh, I didn't know there's 63 million people in our country who are dealing with this." So they know already. So if we send that statement and, to help them to put that at the forefront of their mind, that's huge. I think that that's just so important. Yeah. And also if you're in the position where you're raising a family right now and you also are kind of solely taking care of one of your elders in your family, just know we see you, and we're rooting for you, and also, like, hey, let's all as a community come behind you and, like, put this on the radar of our government to know that this is an important thing to invest in.
Shout out to caregivers.
Yay. God bless you guys. Praying your strength. Okay, from that, we're going to go ahead into the practice. As we do, we talk about the politics of family, then we talk about the practice of
How do we
family.
do it?
How can, I love how you say that every time. How do we do it? No, yeah, this is just something that you can do. So the thing I have that I wanted to bring out to you, my love, and to all of us. This is something we haven't done before as a family, but I'm like, we definitely are going to do this because if you know me, you know that, like, I love to just keep things positive and to focus on the good. I always tell the kids that, guys, focus on the good. But no, I think it really is helpful and important.
And
Cling to the good, let go of every evil. Right? That's what it says. The Colossians. Anywho, so before I bring this, I just want to ask you, love, have you ever come across like an old journal or a quote that you wrote down a while ago that just really stood out to you? Or maybe just like a prayer journal or something that you kept, but you hadn't seen in a long time, and then it came out. You give us like a 2 words of a feeling. How did that make you feel when you kind of like came across it and read it again?
maybe I don't wanna give my 2 words.
Oh my gosh, what are your
Old and disappointed.
oh lordy, that's not true. Something that just really like encouraged you at a time, like a quote that you came across, or a prayer journal, something it's like the prayers that you pray. Like, isn't it like so?
I can say I felt very hopeful and inspired when,
Let's
the
get
last
that.
time
Hopeful and inspired.
I
Just
wanna
kidding.
tell my
Yeah,
story
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
The last time Apostle Katie preached for us,
Uh-huh.
she brought out this, word that I
Oh, yeah,
gave
yeah.
in the church in, like, 2006
7.
or
7 or yeah,
2007,
6.
and then we were able to see, like, how much of that God had done over the
Come
years.
on.
So
Say
that was
it
encouraging.
again. Yes, hopeful and
That was better
encouraging.
than the journal that came to mind.
Lord.
Sometimes you find things and it's hopeful, I don't know where we're going with this, so I'm
Well,
gonna
I'm
let
gonna
you take it.
focus on the good one. He's like, "I'm a realist." I'm like, "What does that even mean?" Sounds like a glorified pessimist in my opinion. But no, it's because like every time I come across a journal or just a word or something that it just really ministered to me at a point, it's just so encouraging to come back to that and just like, wow, that was just so refreshing all over again. Those feelings, like that hopeful, that inspired, encouraged, that invigorated thing, that's kind of what I want to share with us is that something we can do with the kids. I felt this was an idea in where is it at? Oh, it's called Positivity Jars by Natalie DeSanto. She writes for the Berg News, and she suggested that families have this positivity jar where you can just put in like maybe something positive, like something about yourself, but everybody in the family has their own jar. You can kind
Mhm.
of bedazzle it, make it how you want to, or whatever. Not bedazzle if you're a boy, I guess,
Yeah.
just make it your own. But you put like things in there, like maybe you can write something that is something you kind of like about yourself, or something that encourages you, or something that you want to remember, something that's true, something that's good. You can put yeah, just whatever you want to
Mhm.
put in there, and something that just kind of speaks to you, and you put it in there, and then you take it one out every week. So you choose a day of the week, and then everybody kind of goes around in their positivity jar and pick out one of the papers that they put in there. So it's like reminding yourself of something that you were inspired to write or to say, or even to think, because sometimes you have a good moments like, oh, I'm writing that. Or it can be like a praise report, like, like I got that book that I've been wanting to read, and like that's like a thank you, And so
Yeah.
when you take that out later, you're like, I'm grateful for that book that I always wanted. And I got it, and that's really helpful for kids because sometimes, kids, that's the great and not so great thing about kids because they can just move on, like they can just like, I got it and I'm done,
Yeah.
but it's so good to help them to kind of like reflect and remember like, hey guys, remember when that thing you really wanted and yeah, how God worked that out? That's really cool, right? And just kind of take a moment to kind of be thankful. So yeah, I just thought that was such a cool idea
That's
to have these positivity jars.
I think that's cool.
Yeah,
I would say don't make them glass.
that's true.
I say
Dollar True, they have
positivity
plastic
jars,
ones.
and I think that's a good idea. It's very different from a journal.
It is.
Uh,
No, not it's not a journal. It's just
no,
I
you
was
just
just
put
saying
because you don't just do intentionally positive things in a journal.
for sure, yeah.
That's
So this is like you want to put something positive, like a positive word or a positive, like a praise report or something that's good about you, like a
yeah.
compliment that you want to just remind yourself of later on.
I guess if you're
Um,
finding your journal because you do like to keep it positive.
I'll write things that are not so positive, but even
My
like
journal's
wow, I
one
was so upset
one
about
day I'm
that.
gonna die and people
So
are gonna find my journal. It's not all inspirational.
but even that's helpful, like,
The
Limitations is
Lamentations
very
of
helpful.
Christoph.
It's very helpful. But no, it's whatever you want to be inspired by later on.
Yes.
So you're intentionally
This would
putting
be
in
like
there, knowing that you're
intentionally.
gonna pull this up
I should
later.
start a positivity journal. Well, I guess that's a
You should do a
positivity jar.
positivity journal as well.
That that's a positivity jar, is a
Focus on the
positivity
good,
journal.
love.
That is what a positivity jar is all about. It's
Yeah.
like a positivity journal,
It is, except you pick it out one at a time, so
one
one
at a
piece of
time.
paper. So what I like about this is that as a family okay, there's a couple things I like about this because on your positivity jar day, everybody takes a jar and they pick out one thing and you read it. And I love that it is one kind of like it kind of fosters that like encouraging their own individuality. Oh, everybody is going it won't be anybody who is missed,
Right.
like and everybody's thing is uniquely to them, right? Because they're picking out this thing.
But it also
Like
probably encourages other people.
that's true,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, and they're like, "Oh, I guess I should be thankful for that too. Oh, yeah, I remember when you got" and then so that's really encouraging. Also, a lot of times you're just going around the table and you're like, "So what's something good that you can like, what's a talent that you have?" It's like, I don't know," maybe just because 'cause they're not thinking about it, they're not in the mood for it. So, it kinda eliminates that whole, like, blank brain thing of, "I don't know." So it's like, "Look, just pick one out. You already said it about yourself, right?" So and then it just kinda helps us has this, like, accountability of like, hey guys, we really are going to focus on the good. And it's just like a boost
Yeah.
to your day. And, it's like you ministering to you, to yourself. That's your own spirit. That's what Pastor Katie always says, right? So speak to yourself, encourage yourself in what is good. And so I love that. I thought it
I
was
think
such
that's a
a
great
cool
idea,
idea.
and we don't do this,
You don't?
and we're gonna start doing
We
it.
are going to start it.
So this is a good opportunity for all of us, like in the
Let's
whole
do it all together.
nuclear podcast, nuclear option podcast. That's the name of our podcast. Nuclear option podcast family.
Like nuclear family. What's
Like
wrong with nuclear family?
nuclear family podcast. The nuclear option
Option podcast
podcast
family.
family.
Yes.
We can all try this together, and then we will come back on a
A
future
future episode.
episode
And let's say
and
how it's
actually
going.
recap
Yeah.
on this. And then when we do that, Or even before we do that, just send us a message or write something like if you do positivity jars
Uh-huh.
and let us know how the positivity jar joint is going.
Hey, so see you guys what we're saying. Please share this episode. I think this is really helpful to some people. So send this to somebody who you're like, hey, let's do these positivity jars. Send them the link to this episode. They can learn what a positivity jar is and how to do it. But yeah, it can be so inspiring for everybody. You as a family, as you're kind of building your family, but then also like all the people in your family, your nuclear family. This could be a really cool practice to just focus on the good. And kids need to do that. I think that it's just really good. It's helpful to be optimistic and just have some fun while you're doing it. So I think that it's actually I think it's a learned behavior to be thankful and grateful and optimistic. I can definitely say I think my mom, that's one of the many gifts she handed down to me just in like not things that she taught, but that I just caught it from her. I mean, I guess she taught it as well, but just being grateful, like in all the things, the small things, the big things. It really is like a boost for our own personhood. But yeah, so
Yes.
that's our practice today, you guys.
Be
Little
positive.
challenge.
And we're gonna practice that. Very open and honest. I'm working on being more positive.
Oh, that's so good, my love.
Go with the good. What is it? Stick to the good. Look at the
Something to be
focus on
grateful.
the
Oh,
good. Focus
I
on
like
the good.
that. Go with the good. That's beautiful.
So
Oh, yeah.
that's the practice. And so before we jump out, we want to look at the promise of
Yes.
family. And again, when we're talking about the promise of family, we're talking about ways that the nuclear family operating in society is a blessing to the whole society, even beyond just the family. And so I'm going to get into something that I hope is not too controversial. I will say that I am not intending to be controversial with it. I am just going to share some research that has been done that I think is meaningful. And it's meaningful to me, especially because they focused on analyzing data actually in Chicago. So this research actually
We're
looked
in
at
Chicago, by the way.
national information, but it also they did census tract level data in Chicago. And so what they found has to do with public safety. And essentially the finding is this, is that in cities and even in census tracts, in Chicago at least we can say, but there is good reason to believe that this extrapolates across the other cities.
Right.
But in cities where there is a higher instance of nuclear families,
Preach
so
thing.
married mother and father living in the same house with their shared children, where there is a higher instance of nuclear families in a city, in a census tract, there is a lower instance of crime. And this research, which we'll share it in the show notes, when it comes to violent crime and homicide, cities with high levels of single parenthood see 118% higher rate of
Wow.
violence and a 255% higher rate of homicide. And the reason I want to bring this out is because when we talk about public safety, and I've been very involved in public safety conversations, debates, work, protests, all of things. There are basically two sort of schools of thought, both of which I kind of rock with and ascribe to in different instances and in different ways. But one school of thought is very focused on kind of like the social institutional infrastructure, job placement, youth programs,
More of
after
those.
school, all those types of things. Like we need to lower poverty, employment, da 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 da, and that's going to bring down crime. And I think anybody who looks at this with an honest eye is going to see that those things do have a positive impact, some positive impact at least, when it comes to bringing down crime. The other school of thought is focused more on the infrastructure of law enforcement, right? So policing and prosecution and
Guards.
deployment of National Guards at times. Which again, like I rock with this too, because sometimes I'm like, we can't just let everybody
Positively
do
impact.
every criminal thing. And the data would suggest when you have more police, when you have, tougher prosecution, all those types of things, that also has an impact. And you even have people who generally try to take I guess what they're trying to do is like a balanced approach. And so like we need to dip from both of these buckets. Like we need to look at the sort of like social infrastructure and we need to look at the law enforcement infrastructure in order to make this thing holistically possible. But this cultural and family oriented piece, I think is rarely talked about. And this data is suggesting
No, I've never
that it
heard
actually can have a significant impact on public safety. So again, like a lot of the things that we talk about, and we won't go into all of the policy implications of this, you got to listen to a lot of nuclear option podcast episodes to get a feel for kind of like how you begin to think about putting together a pro family kind of like policy infrastructure. But this is saying whatever you can do as a policymaker, as a community leader, to encourage families to come into the neighborhood, to encourage the people in the neighborhood to form families. You need to be doing those things because the more families you have in that census tract, in that city, the lower the instances of crime is going to be. And honestly, those of us who grew up in like households where you had like a mom and dad present in the household, like you kind of know why that's the case.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
it just happens that
as somebody who wants to know where you are, you
Yeah.
got to check in.
For sure.
And it's less likely that, like there's going to be like these long periods of time after school where, nobody's looking for you because,
Right. Or
they're busy
just
at
less
work
time for you to like get into trouble or mess or whatever. Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. And probably just if you have more families, there's a little bit more presence in the neighborhood in general because you're going out, you're coming in, you're going, and so it's a lot of activity happening. So where it just I can see why it would deter it. Even in our neighborhood, like we don't live in the best part of the south side of Chicago by any means. But there's just like I would say like especially like even our block or I surround the blocks around our house like it's really good like
Yeah.
and I think
It's like a
that
little
contributes
pocket of
to-
peace.
Yeah.
Which is what I love, and I don't know if I said it earlier, that they are controlling like, there is a definite correlation, obviously, between two-parent households and, like, poverty and income and those types of
Yeah.
things, but they have done their best in this research to control for poverty
Oh yeah.
when they're looking at this impact on public safety, and it's still,
Still.
holds true, it's still indicative, like, you still see it. So this family piece is an important part of the holistic public safety infrastructure.
So good.
If anybody takes me to be saying like, "Oh, forget about policing and forget about social infrastructure,"
No.
then you haven't listened to a lot of Chris Butler,
In
and
your words, that would be intellectually dishonest.
it would be intellectually
You
dishonest.
that's not what you mean. Yeah, for sure. You're all
But
about we're all about
I do think this is a big
policing
part
and
that's often overlooked, and we should be putting this in our conversation
yeah,
as
to
those
be
was like, because we live in Chicago, and if you're living in a city in America, you're dealing with this public safety question. And so this is not about like taking sides and like getting into a
yeah.
fight. This is just to say, like, here's an important part of the conversation that sometimes
To know
folks won't let you have this because it does start to sound like, oh, well, now you've been religious and you're telling people how to live and blah, blah, blah. And I think we just have to
telling what the
stand
data
10
says.
toes down on the data.
Mhm.
This is just there in the data,
Yeah.
and we need to have it as part of our conversation.
Exactly. So the public safety plan. I mean, policing and
The social
programs
infrastructure
and
and family.
families.
Have families as part of your public safety.
Love it. That's so good. Thank you, my love. That's wonderful. I love to see how, we have the families just doing their thing, how it can just contribute to society as a public good. So there you have it, guys. So be encouraged. You're such a blessing to your family, but also to your whole neighborhood and community.
Yeah, it's just by doing your thing.
Just by doing your thing. So, guys, keep loving each other
Hold on to truth
and
and harness your power.
See you next time.
See you.